Hello everybody. Welcome to another road video. I did this today, February 4th, 2013, and the title of this video is From Demory to LaFollette by Sugar Hollow and Pleasant Ridge Roads. Or you could say Sugar Holler and Pleasant Ridge Road. Right now we're on Sugar Hollow Road. I haven't been on this road that much, at least 2 or 3 times I think. I haven't traveled this road that much. This video is around 28 minutes long, I think, give or take. So that's how long it takes to drive from the Demory Mart. That parking lot that we left back there, that store is closed, but anybody that's familiar with this area knows it as the Demory Mart in Demory. It was partly cloudy today, and I have mentioned before that this is not a professional camera, so it's susceptible to glare from the sun, and occasionally when we turn toward the sun, or if it's directly behind us, I'll get a reflection in the windshield of my automobile. The temperature today was it was in the 40s. Of course, you can notice that some snow down there in that field. Back here in the ridges, it's kind of shaded. And sometimes there's areas that the snow is kind of slow to melt. I don't know a lot about this area, so I won't have a lot to say. Of course, this is Campbell County, and we're going to LaFollette from Demory, which is over in the county. We're in the southern part of Campbell County. The mountains, the Cumberland Mountains, you'll see them here in a little while, are north of us. There's quite a few people live out here. And I don't think that I know anybody. I have some Facebook friends, I think, or I know for a fact, that live out here because some of them have mentioned that I needed to do a road video in this area. So I hope you see your house. We're picking up some glare from the sun. That's the only complaint that I have with this Consumer Products camera. Other than that, it does a great job. But it sure will pick up a glare from the sun. It's partly cloudy. You can tell off in the distance there. You can see some blue sky. It's always clear in this part of the country. Years ago, we had a factory that was polluting the air, or that's what they said. That's what they said, that it was coming from that factory. It finally closed, and just about any time you go out, you'll see clear skies. There's not a lot of pollution in this area. So I'll give you a plug for Campbell County. If you're looking for a place to retire, I have been told that this area is like in the top 60 places in the United States for retirement. Now, I have no official word of that. I'm just going by what people have told me, people that I believe. There's a lot of people live in here from different parts of the world and the United States. So that's my plug for Campbell County. If you happen to be retired and you're looking for a fantastic place to live, this is it. Now, what you see down there is, and I'm going to cut the camera here, this is Long Hollow Road. Now we're going on Pleasant Ridge Road. We just came off of Sugar Hollow Road, and there was one little area there of the Long Hollow Road. Now, the Pleasant Ridge Road is not in as good a shape as the Sugar Hollow Road was. Sometimes I'll call it holler, sometimes I'll call it hollow around here. If I was talking to someone, I've always just called it Long Hollow Road and Sugar Hollow Road. And everybody knows exactly what you mean because that's what it is. And I was born and raised in this area. In fact, I was born in a mining camp up there in the mountains. My dad was a coal miner. I was born in 1938 at Anthrace, and I'm going to go up there and do a video one of these days upon Clear Fork, Egan, White Oak. So if you live up there, eventually I'm going to make it up there up Highway 90 from Morley. I'm going to start my camera rolling around Morley. Of course, they had a slide up there and the road is blocked. I don't know. I need to check on that and see if they're about to get that completed. Maybe I could go up and do a video of that slide. I sent Mark Nagy, he's the PR man for the state of Tennessee. He sent me back an email. I told him he went up there to contact me. He said that he didn't know if he was going to get up to that one or not. But anyway, if I don't, I'm at least going to do a road trip up Highway 90 from Morley. We went through Morley when I did the Jellicoe Road video, and I believe I mentioned that I was going to do the Highway 90 video as soon as I could, because that's where I was born, up there at Anthrace. I lived at Egan. We moved from, I don't have all my dates down, but we moved from Anthrace to LaFollette during the war. My dad went to work at Oak Ridge. After the war ended, he went back in the coal business, and we moved to Egan. And we lived there for a while, and then we came back to LaFollette, and I have been in LaFollette, other than what time, traipsing all over the world and other places. I usually hang my hat here and in North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina every chance I get. In fact, North Carolina is the only place that I could move, I think, and be just as happy there as I am in the hills of East Tennessee. I love it in North Carolina. Now, when we get out here on Pleasant Ridge Road, there's a cemetery to the right, and I have a friend that's buried there who passed away several years ago. My brother married his sister. His name was Bob Collinsworth. He was in the entertainment business, and he recorded under the name of Bob Collins. He never did have a hit, but he lived in Atlanta, and he was recording down there he was in that group of Joe South and Tommy Rowe and Barry Etris. Barry Etris wrote Reuben James, and Bobby did a program at a high school, and I was down there. He and Ray Stevens did that together, and I met Ray Stevens. We sat back in a cloakroom there waiting for him to go on stage and had a pretty long conversation. But all of those guys were well known in Atlanta. I don't think Bob ever had a big hit. He had a record that he was promoting when he was on that program with Ray Stevens called the UT Line. And Barry Etris was and Tommy Rowe had a record out, and it was called Foreman of the Garbage Brigade. That was before he signed. He did a song called Sheila. I think that was the name of it. It was a big hit. But that was one of the first things he ever recorded. When I was in Karamazov, Turkey, and I was working in AFRTS or AFRS, we didn't have the television service of Armed Forces Radio. One evening I was doing a program, and I mentioned that song, Foreman of the Garbage Brigade by Ray Stevens, thinking no one would even know anything about it. And just a few minutes later, someone knocked on the door of the control room, and I opened it up, and a guy was holding an album of I said Ray Stevens, Tommy Rowe. Tommy Rowe. Look over me, folks. I get confused at times. It was Tommy Rowe that had the Foreman of the Garbage Brigade. And this guy had an album of Tommy Rowe, and it had the Foreman. We're getting ready to come up on that cemetery. Like I always do, I get to jabbering, and no, it's here. Right here it is. He's buried right here on the right, down at the end, next to the road. And there's another cemetery. We're going to go by it right now to the left. And Rose Kitts, who was a famous sheriff of Campbell County, is buried there. Now, this information is hearsay, and I don't know if it's really a fact, but I think it is. Someone said that Howard Baker had all kinds of photographs of Rose Kitts. Howard Baker was an amateur photographer, and someone said that he more or less followed Rose Kitts' career, and when he had a chance, if he was anywhere that Rose was there, he photographed Rose. If that's incorrect, I'm sure someone listening to this will know the family that will bring us up to date. But Rose Kitts was a famous sheriff. Now, Ray Stevens was doing the program with Bob Collins, but Tommy Rowe was the one that was recording for the same company that Bob Collins was, that had the song Foreman of the Garbage Brigade. And I can remember when Tommy Rowe's manager came up, the top station in Knoxville was WNOX, and Johnny Perkle, I can't remember some of the other guys' names, but they had the top radio station in Knoxville, and Bob Collins and Tommy Rowe's manager and myself went over there to pitch that record to WNOX, and Johnny Perkle liked it. Of course, it was not a hit. And Tommy Rowe finally had a hit with a song called Sheila. We're still on the Pleasant Ridge Road. I hope I did not thoroughly confuse you all between Ray Stevens and Tommy Rowe. I only met Ray one time and know absolutely nothing about him other than meeting him at that school where they were doing a stage presentation or a stage show. And I never did meet Tommy Rowe. I never did meet Joe South, but I knew Barry Etris real well. Don't know what ever happened to him. But they were friends to Bob Collinsworth, who recorded under the name Bob Collins. And like I said, my brother, who is now deceased, married Bob's sister, Juanita. We're coming into LaFollette. We're in East LaFollette. All of this area is familiar ground to me. I've either ridden my bicycle over this part of the city. You can see the mountains, the Cumberland Mountains. You can see the Gap. That's Big Creek Gap. LaFollette was Big Creek Gap during the Civil War, an important area during the Civil War. Most of East Tennessee was Union. Some of this area has changed. These buildings on the right are what they call the projects. They remodeled them here a few years ago, but I can remember right there where those projects are, there was a big sawmill. I'm trying to think of the guy's name that owned the sawmill. And there's the old projects to the left there. That building up there with that little white thing sticking out on it, that used to be Hudson's Grocery. And a friend of mine named Phaedrew lived there in the upstairs portion. His family ran that grocery store. And there in that field to the right, there was a building there which was Morton Hardware, and that's the first place I ever saw television in that area. The building has been torn down. This is what they call the fairground. Before they built this, all these houses, they used to have the fair in this portion. They had races and a number of things. That was before my time. There's a gentleman walking. Looks like he doesn't have a care in the world. If you know him, tell him he's on worldwide YouTube. There's other people live around here that I know, but I just don't want to just call everybody's name because I'm afraid I'll get somebody's name wrong. We're going to turn right on a street up here. It's an old street. There's some old houses. I don't know what year that they were built. We're about ready to end this video. I'm going out here and cut left and get out on the main highway. And that'll end the video entitled From Demory to LaFollette by Sugar Hollow and Pleasant Ridge Roads. If you have any information on some of the things that I mentioned, especially about Sheriff Rowe's kids, give us a comment. I do have a Facebook page, but I do not Facebook with my YouTube people as a general rule unless I know them personally. I keep those separate. That building, the cream-colored building, is where the Veterans Administration office is at. and we turn on Central Avenue. So long, everybody.